Chairs No Waiting, episode number 700. Woo. Not 99, but 700. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and pick up some of the great Mayberry items they have over there. They got the brand new Becoming Thelma Lou, My Journey to Hollywood, Mayberry, and Beyond. It's a hardback book by, it's all about Thelma Lou. Go and check it out. While you're there, you might want to check out Tied Up in Knots, Me and My Dad, paperback book by Karen Knotts. And since it's getting close to Halloween time, get the Any Old Tramps down there print. Might be something else you might want. Head over to Weavers and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you each week by fine folks just like you. And I want to thank Mark Copeland for being the executive producer of episode number 700. 700, folks. I have done 700 episodes of a show that I'd planned to do 249 episodes of. And it's been a long time. I started in 2008. Not going to do a whole lot of dwelling on some of that because we're going to have the year switch over in October. That would be when we head into our next year of podcasting. So we'll just talk a little bit about the 700th. That's just a milestone I just can't quite grasp. And it's really an amazing thing to me that so many of you have taken time to visit with me in Mayberry every week, almost, for these last 699 episodes, now 700 episodes of the podcast, because it's been pretty consistent. We've come out almost every week. In all those years, we've missed a few weeks, but very few. And it really is a blessing to have friends like so many of the people that come in our chat room and so many of the others that just listen to the podcast. Thank you for everything you do to encourage me and keep me podcasting, because I was planning to stop after 249 episodes of the podcast because there were 249 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. That was my plan. But so many of you either contributed through Patreon to fund me and keep me going, or have just donated individually using PayPal. Or even some people have sent me checks over the years just to help pay for things. And over the years, I've had to buy many things. I bought a brand new cameras to improve the video quality of the video version of the podcast. I bought new software to make all the transitions and everything work better. I've bought new audio recorders so that the audio sounds better. Well, as good as it can sound with my voice. But you guys have helped fund a lot of that. And it's been through even the Mayberry meetup. They raised money to help fund the podcast, which was very helpful this year, because early this year, you may not remember, in 2022, but my computer died and I had to buy a brand new computer. It wasn't a good time to be buying a computer in like January, February timeframe of this year, but I really had no choice if I wanted to keep the podcast going. But thank you to all of you who did the Save the Scobie Fund and kept things going. So we've got a lot of voicemails, and that's one of the things, because I want to celebrate you guys, because you are the ones that kept me going through all this. And this particular one is something I had never noticed. Our buddy Larry Granger called in with this voicemail, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I hope you're watching the video version of this, because you'll be able to see it, but otherwise you'll be able to watch the episode he's going to talk about, and you'll be able to see what I'm telling you. So let's go ahead and hear from Larry.
Hello, Alan. Larry Granger here. I have a question or an observation that has nothing to do with any of the previous episodes of the podcast, but I was watching The Manicurist recently, and I've noticed this before, I just never brought it up. It seems to me that when Ellen Brown, Barbara Eden, gets off the bus at the bus stop, that she has what looks like a black dress, a very dark black dress. But when she starts walking towards the barbershop, and once she enters the barbershop, she has a lighter colored dress. I know it's black and white, but it looks like maybe a gray. And I just wondered if you had noticed that, or any of the listeners had noticed that before. what looks like a black dress at the bus stop, once she gets to the barbershop, is more like a gray dress. Anyway, I'd like to hear your observations and what anyone else might have noticed about that. Have a good one. Good day.
Wow, Larry, thank you so much for calling in for that. So now, if you haven't seen that, that's in the episode. Gosh, I have it right here. Where she came to town, the manicurist. I'm like, so that was episode number 48, and it was filmed back in, or actually aired in January, on the 22nd of January, back in 1962. When she gets off the bus coming from Macon, all the guys in the barbershop notice her. So remember that part. And I'm sure you do. And I was telling my wife, I was telling Jan just a little while ago, as I was looking at this and trying to confirm Larry, what he had said, he's 100% right. The dress, when she gets off the bus, looks very dark, like black nearly. And when she starts walking across the road, it definitely looks gray. It looks like a much lighter color, but it looks like the same cut. So as far as there's a design kind of at the neck of the shirt, of the dress, I should say, and because you can see her later in the episode, as you see her in the barbershop, you can kind of see on her neck the design that's on her neck, and that is visible on the black dress as well. If you zoom in a lot, you can look at it. Anyways, I was telling Jan, as I looked at this, I was doing some screenshots to capture this so I'd be able to look at it and see. I realized, and she said I had to tell this. I said, wow, I've never really paid attention to the dress changing color because I was too busy looking at Barbara Eden. Because she's definitely not a boy. That's a definite truth. But yeah, she certainly looks like she has on a black dress. Now, I even went into my photo editing software and did comparisons between the color, because I don't know if you've seen some of these optical illusions where you can have a light gray and a dark gray color that are actually the same color in a image, but because there's a dark line between the two, it changes your perception of the color. So I thought this could be what was happening here, so that it looked like a dark black dress and then turned into a light gray dress. Because we know, if we remember talking with Bruce Bilson, that the outside shots were shot at 40 acres. So her riding in on the bus and stepping off of the bus, and then just a few moments later walking toward the barber shop, those would have all been shot at the back lot at 40 acres. That is the town of Mayberry. So they should have been shot the same day. At least I assume it was the same day. And you would think, even if it wasn't the same day, they would have used the same dress, because she's only in this one. When she gets off the bus, I don't know, it's probably one shot that they just cut and edited a little bit, so you can see her as she walks around waiting on the bus driver to get her bag. So that should have been one shot. And then basically the only other shot was of her walking back across the street, heading towards Floyd's barbershop, when all the men started running around trying to get out of the way, right? So it should have, it seems unlikely that she would have changed dresses. So what I did is I did a color sample. Now, granted, it, like Larry said, it's all black and white, but I did a color sample, and the RGB values for the dark black dress are in the 35 range. And the values for the gray dress were in the 60s and 50 range. So it is definitely a lighter gray color. I also, in those same images, I compared the bus. Well, the bus is a gray color as well, but it is the same in both the shot where she has on the black dress. It has the same RGB values as it does when she looks to be in the light gray dress. And the dress, after that first shot of her waiting to get her bag and then it cutting to the men in the barbershop, from then on, it's gray. It's a light gray color. So, wow, Larry, I don't know the explanation on this, but I believe it has to be maybe the camera settings or something like that that made her dress look darker in that shot. But I honestly don't know. But I will say she's definitely not a boy. So, Larry, thank you so much for calling in with that comment. I had never noticed that. I had never noticed it. So I thank you so much for that. So now we're going to hear from Carolina Cody. So let's hear what Cody's got to say.
Hey, Alan, this is Cody Sloan, and I just wanted to call and say congratulations on 700 podcast episodes. That's a huge milestone for you, and I know myself and everyone else here on Two Chairs No Waiting are very happy for you. Over the course of 700 episodes, you and the podcast have come a long way, and it keeps getting better. I look forward to every Monday night and visiting with everyone here in the chat room. Thanks for everything you and Jan do for us Tags fans and all your hard work with keeping the podcast going. Congratulations again, and I look forward to seeing you and everyone else at Mayberry Days. Take care.
Wow. Thank you, Cody. That really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. Those are very kind words. And I'm glad I have gotten better as time went on, because my goodness, if I got worse, it would have been really bad. It is pretty amazing to me that I'm still podcasting about the Andy Griffith Show, a show that was on 60 plus years ago. And yet I still am able to come up with something new, just like the thing with Larry. So just like the Barbara Eden's dress, I'd never knew that. So there's always seems to be something new that we've been able to discover and talk about the Andy Griffith Show. And I really am thankful for all of you who have been able to stick it out with me. All right. So now let's go and hear our next caller.
Good afternoon, Alan. This is JW from Denton, North Carolina. You had a trivia question or something the other day about only hair being in Floyd's barbershop being on the on when somebody got out of the chair. I can't remember who it was you said, but I was looking at season 3, episode 8, the Mayberry Band, and Andy had a few strands of hair on, and then the other day I was watching. I can't remember the number. Peggy, when she was coming over fixing Aunt B was out of town, and Floyd said, "You go change your mailbox." He was in the barber shop a couple times, and there was some hair on the apron there. So, like I said, didn't know if that was actually correct or not. Have a great day, and thanks for all you do.
Hey, thank you so much. That's a great information. I haven't watched all the episodes again to be trying to watch for that. That's definitely not something about the hair being on the actual apron that they had around the guys getting their haircut. That would definitely been something that the art director would have taken time to make sure that he put some hair on there, because obviously Howard McNear, Floyd, was not really cutting anybody's hair. Well, at least I assume he wasn't. So that's great to know that it was also in future or other episodes later on in the series that you would see hair on there. I think some of the problem may be that for many years, at least, we've not had super clear versions of the Andy Griffith Show to watch. And now we even have Blu-ray versions that I haven't watched them yet, but I understand they're much clearer, and you can see even more than you can on the already clear DVD versions of the Andy Griffith Show. So thank you for taking time to make sure we knew that answer. So thank you very much. All right. Our next one is from Lori Ann. Let's hear from her.
Hey there, Alan. This is Lori Ann from South Jersey Farm Country. I'm calling you again. And I have a question that maybe somebody can help me with. It's kind of rattling around in my head. And anyway, I've only ever heard it said that Andy Griffith's first wife, Barbara, has a bit part in one episode, only one episode, being the Songfesters. I've never heard her mentioned for any other episodes. I know she was an actress in her own right, involved in show business along with Andy. But I'm pretty sure I've seen her in 2 other episodes. I think I've seen her in the episode Barney and the Choir, which is in season 2. And also in the episode The Church Benefactors in season 8, where she's in the choir I guess she's in the choir in all three of these. Seated right alongside of Aunt B, to Aunt B's right. I'm pretty sure that's Barbara, but I've never heard anyone mention that. So I'm wondering if anybody has any insight on that. It's hard for me to go back and look at the episodes now because I can only see it on Pluto, since it's not on Prime anymore. So I have to just rely on, whatever's running on Pluto when I turn it on. So if anybody could maybe check on that for me, and that would clear things up in my brain. So anyway, really enjoy your podcast, Alan. It just brightens up my week every time I listen. So thankful for it, and thankful for all your efforts that you put into it. So anyway, see you in Mayberry.
All
Signing
right.
out, Laurie Ann.
Hey, Laurie Ann, thank you so much for calling. And I did check into this. I found a lot of pictures of Barbara and Andy. They were, matter of fact, one of the pictures I found was from No Time for Sergeant, and you can tell because of the badge on his collar, and it's a Warner Brothers picture that I found. And then I found some other behind the scenes type shots of her and Don and Andy. But I did have a screenshot of the Songfesters, and that's where she's there. She's right there in the choir with beside Barney and Aunt B. So there she is in the shot. I did check around, and there were some other shots. I saw where you were talking about the church benefactors. There's a shot of them setting out in the congregation, I believe. And there's a lady sitting beside Aunt B. That's not Barbara. I checked on that to make sure. And then I couldn't find a good shot or a good capture of her in the choir, but I did check with the experts around, and Barbara only appeared on the one episode. So there may have been someone who looked similar to her, but it was not Andy's wife. So the only episode she appeared on was the Songfesters. So just to clear that up and make sure I'm sure there's somebody that looks similar to her and looks a good bit like her, but it wasn't Barbara Edwards, Barbara Griffith. So thank you again for calling. I hope I answered your question. I hope it wasn't a negative answer, but I did check on it for you to make sure. And yes, she's only in the one episode. So, all right. So our next one, let's hear from Matt.
Hey, Alan, this is Matt from Bladenboro, North Carolina. And I just wanted to thank you for the podcast series you've done. And I just grew up an Andy Griffith fan, and love the show, and just appreciate you bringing the insights and all that stuff to it each week. So thanks again.
Wow. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for taking time to call in and tell me too. It's nice to hear from you. I always say I enjoy hearing from you guys because you hear from me every week. And so it's nice to hear your voice and hear what you guys think. I'm so glad that so many people do enjoy the podcast. It's always a challenge, but since it's really about something I really enjoy and love, I seem to always be able to come up with something to talk about, don't I? So thanks again, Matt. Let's go on to our next caller.
Hey, this is Robert Hale in Redding, California. I enjoyed your podcast very much. And the last one, you talked about the 700th episode coming up and what you could do for that one. And I thought, what a great idea for the listeners to call in and talk about one of their favorite all-time favorite episodes. And I have two of them. One was where Andy was invited to several, at least 3 spaghetti dinners where the secret ingredients was oregano. And then the other great episode was when Opie came into the courthouse and Andy and Barney were helping Opie. He had trouble with the preamble to the Constitution, and Barney was going to stated for him, and Barney had a hard time remembering it. It was so hilarious watching Barney, with the help of Andy, do that reciting of the preamble of the conversation. I mean, of the Constitution. Anyway, that's my idea, man. Have a great day, Alan, and you do a good job. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure listening to Two Chairs, No Wedding. Bye.
Wow, thank you so much, man. It's I really do appreciate you taking time to do that. And that episode is Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain, by the way, where he did that. And then you also mentioned the spaghetti dinner episodes. That was great. Well, what do you know, spaghetti? Yeah. That was a great. That was great. Now that's a color episode. So the fact that you called that out is one of your favorites, that's impressive to me, because a lot of people don't even watch the color episodes. So good job watching the color episodes. There's a lot of good episodes out there that are color. So go and watch them. If you can't handle the color, turn the color off on your television and watch them in black and white. I think you'll enjoy them. They're not all great, but they're all better than almost anything else. So go and check that out. So Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain was episode number 103. And it aired on the 18th of November, 1963 is when it first aired. And John Wheaton was the writer. And I believe he's related to a famous guy right now, Josh Wheaton. So there you go. All right. So anyway, thanks so much for calling in with that. And we have one more call in. So let's hear from Tammy.
Hi, Alan. This is Tammy from Chicago. We enjoy your podcast. I just had an observation on Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain. At the beginning, when Barney's trying so hard to recite the Constitution that he knows by heart, even though Andy's giving him every word, it's so funny to see him mess up his hair, and the very next scene, it's perfectly groomed, and then it's messed up again, and then it's perfectly groomed. I just think it's so cute, the way they go back and forth. And that was my comment. So thanks very much. God bless.
Wow. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks again for taking time to call in. I love that too. That's one of the, I guess, mistakes that they made during the show, because it was all filmed with one camera, right? So they would shoot a shot from one angle, and then they would shoot it from a different angle. And so it was actually two different takes. And so Barney, or Don, his hair got fixed back, and then he didn't mess it up again the same way in the next shot. So it didn't line up perfectly when they edited from one to the other. And that's always been something I thought was pretty interesting. And you can go and find out. There's a lot of stuff like that. Like there's odd facts known by a few. If you go to mayberry.info, it's the Mayberry Historical Society. It's a wiki like Wikipedia that is actually, I run it. And there's all kinds of information out there, and you can look at the episode for Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain, and it has odd facts known by a few about that particular episode. It says, watch for Barney's straight, then mussed up hair in the preamble scene. Director Jeffrey Hayden has explained that it was due to a mismatch in close-up and master shots. So that's what I was talking about. So the close-up on Barney, he did that. Then in the long shot, he didn't, or maybe it's the opposite of that, right? So you can look and figure out as well. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's in here that are, for instance, according to this, at 4 minutes and 24 seconds into the DVD version of the Opie's Ill-Gotten Gain episode, there is where the quote starts with Barney saying, "When a man steps into a booth, he's alone with his conscience, and nobody is allowed to ask him how he voted. Now that's the American way, and I'm for that." Because he's like, "How I vote, mister, is nobody's business." So that's where that starts. I don't know why that's an odd fact known by a few, but it's in here. So there you go. And folks are able to put information like that into the wiki. If you'd enjoy doing that, head over to mayberry.info and request an account, and I'll try to make sure I grant it. I sometimes miss them if you try to do that, because we have a lot of spammers and I have to block people. So if I miss you, if you tried to subscribe and didn't get it, feel free to contact me at floyd@mayberry.com, and I'll try to make sure we get that worked out for you. Okay. All right. Well, that is all of our voicemails this week. And I just want to thank everybody that took time to call in, either to thank me or to talk about being the 700th episode. I appreciate that. Or just to share what your favorite episodes and stuff were. That was great as well. All the calls were great. Thank you to Larry for helping us notice this about Ellen Brown, about her dress. I'd never noticed that. And wow, that's I don't know how I never noticed that before. So, all right. So let's go and hear from SpiritWalker with Returning to Mayberry.
Won't you turn on the Andy Griffith Show? Forget all your cares and woes. Sit back, relax, and laugh with friendly folks you know. Take up your fishing pole.
Welcome to Returning to Mayberry with special correspondent SpiritWalker from the Andy Griffith Show Esquire Club.
Thanks, Randy, and hello, Mayberry Spirit Watchers. Welcome to our undisclosed location, somewhere deep within the bowels of the Andy Griffith Show Research Laboratories and Delicatessen, where me and the boys have been working on the Mayberry chain by connecting all 32 episodes of the first season of the Andy Griffith Show together from actor to actor. And when we get to episode 32, we're going to connect an actor from 32 back to episode 1. Completing our Mayberry necklace. So let's take a look at the chain so far. We began with Frank Ferguson, who played Wilbur Pine in episode 1, and ended last time with Betty Lynn, who played the adorable Thelma Lou in season 1, episode 22. Also in episode 22, Cyrano Andy, appearing as the title character, of course, was Andy Griffith, without whom none of this would be possible. In 1958, Griffith appeared in the big screen adaptation of a play that he had been doing since 1955. The name of the movie, as well as the name of the play, was No Time for Sergeants. Interestingly enough, the opening scene of No Time for Sergeants was shot about 100 yards from where Andy and Opie would later take their stroll to the fishing hole at the beginning of every episode of the Andy Griffith Show. Also appearing in that movie were future TAGS alums Bartlett Robinson, Dub Taylor, Malcolm Atterbury, Jamie Farr, George N. Neese, Sailor Vincent, and appearing as Corporal John C. Brown was Don Knotts, who showed up to take Aunt Bee to the bus station in episode 23, Andy and Opie Housekeepers. In 1957, Knotts appeared as a regular on the Steve Allen Plymouth Show. One episode was entitled Tony Bennett, George Nader, Joanne Gilbert, Hal Leroy, Floyd Patterson, and Joe Lewis. Also appearing in that episode was future TAGS alum George Nader, who appeared as Dr. Robert Benson in season 1, episode 24, The New Doctor. In 1951, Nader appeared as a character named Charlie in the movie 2 Tickets to Broadway. Also appearing in that movie were future TAGS alums Steve Carruthers, Gail Davis, Dabbs Greer, Colin Kinney, Bert Stevens, and appearing as Mrs. Darling was Isabel Randolph, who appeared as Mrs. Bixby in season 1, episode 25. Also in episode 25, A Plaque for Mayberry, appearing as a townsman was Colin Kinney. In 1942, Kinney appeared as the ship's bartender in the movie Now Voyager, starring Betty Davis and Claude Rains. One of the passengers on the ship was played by future TAGS alum Sam Harris, who appeared with Kinney before. And appearing as Dr. Dan Reagan was Todd Andrews, who appeared as Inspector Ralph Case in season 1, episode 26. Also in episode 26, the inspector, appearing as Case's boss, Mr. Brady, was Willis Boucher. In 1959, Boucher appeared as Buck Hastings in the Audie Murphy Western, No Name on the Bullet. Also in that movie were Future Tags alums Carl Swinson, Hank Patterson, Dennis Rush, and appearing as Asa Canfield was R.G. Armstrong, who appeared as Farmer Flint in Season 1, Episode 27. So there we have it. From Andy Griffith in Episode 22 to Don Knotts in Episode 23. From Don Knotts in Episode 23 to George Nader in Episode 24. From George Nader in Episode 24 to Isabel Randolph in Episode 25. From Colin Kinney in Episode 25 to Todd Andrews in Episode 26. And from Willis Boucher in Episode 26 to R.G. Armstrong in Episode 27. Hey, we'll finish our Mayberry necklace in our next installment. And if you have an idea for future links for me to make, please send me an email at tagsrl55@gmail.com. Send it to tagsrl55@gmail.com. That's the Andy Griffith Show Research Laboratory 55. I would love to hear from you, even if you just drop me a line to say hello. I appreciate it. So, until next time, thanks for being here. I appreciate that. And keep spreading that Mayberry spirit. It's very important in this world today. I thank you.
It's so fine to spend some time with all these dear old friends of mine. Have a bottle of pop. Come on, let's watch the Andy Griffith Show.
All right. Thank you, SpiritWalker. And again, if you want to check him out, you can send him an email. If you got something you want to tell him about, send him an email at tagsrl55@gmail.com. You can go and check it out. Also, you want to make sure you check out this Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TAGS Esquire Club. TAGS Esquire Club. So that's SpiritWalker. And that is our report, guys. This is our 700th episode. I still can't get over it. I do want to encourage you, as I mentioned earlier, to head over and check out the Mayberry.info. If you've not done that, I was mentioning that you can go and submit to it, but you can also go and search and find all kinds of information there. There's a frequently asked questions section. There's all kinds of other really cool stuff over at Mayberry.info. Anytime you can't find something like that, head over to imayberry.com and there's links there to all of this stuff. So that's the home base. You can get the bullet, you can get everything there. So go and check it out. Friends, again, I just want to thank you all for all your kind words and your time spent listening to this podcast. The number of hours you have listened to me talk is probably more than my wife has listened to me. She must not be listening right now, or I'd have be getting hit. Folks, I want to thank you for being here. Again, I'd love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415, or you can email me at floyd@imayberry.com. It's always great to hear from you. Please take some time to let me know what you're thinking. The next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of recorded shows. I won't be doing them live each week because next week is my anniversary. And then following that, I'll be off doing Mayberry Man, the series, and Mayberry Day. So I'll be gone for most of September. So, folks, but we will be still having shows on Monday nights. So join us Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at live.twocairsnowaiting and enjoy the chat room and visiting with people. Until next time, everybody, have a great Mayberry week.